backyard and beyond. If your backyard is like my backyard, it's pretty white looking and will continue to be that way for some time. But it is January, and here it is, a little more snow. Anyhow, beehive hairdo. Why talk about that? Well, the person, the hairstylist who, so to speak, invented it, just died at the age of 80. And it's been not about 38 years ago or so when she really created this style. Why did she do it? Well, a magazine. I don't have the name of the magazine, some magazine sort of put it out there and said, come up with a new hairstyle. And so with lots of curling and teasing and spraying, that became the new hairstyle. Now, it was also called the B-52 because it looked like the bulbous nose of the B-52 Stratofortress bomber, and I don't remember that, but perhaps you do. Anyhow, the beehive hairstyle had a great deal of influence on hairstyling into the future. In Britain, there were 30,000 new hair salons established, basically because everybody wanted this beehive hairdo. It also was the time then that many new hair products came on the market. You know, if you look at any grocery store, general store, whatever, there's shelves full of hair products. Not only hairsprays, but conditioners and colors and on and on. And at this era in the 60s is when that really exploded in terms of people thinking they needed more products. And actually it was a time that hairspray became more available. Previous to that time, most of the hairspray was done at the hairdressers, but now it came available in spray cans, and everybody had a spray can. Also, if you were from that era, you can think back to some other kinds of things that the beehive hairstyle introduced. I'm thinking that was the time when some people wrapped their heads up in toilet paper to keep from messing up their hairdos. Then there came new products to put on over your hairstyle at night so that it didn't mess it up. And some folks, of course, wondered how long that beehive would be there and what all might you find inside there. Well, it, as I said, was, according to history, one of the hairstyles that just kind of changed the way people did business. Everybody, well, did that include you, wanted this new hairstyle. And even if they had really short hair, they tried to have it, which didn't really work. Now, they would just add hair pieces. That has become more and more popular, to get all that long hair that is so popular for many people. But as you think back in your life and think back in history, what are some of the hairstyles that you recall? Of course, way back in time, when you think about the beehive, you might think about Madame Pompadour, who influenced, of course, this humongous hairstyle that grew into sometimes wigs, but sometimes women's own hair. And even men's hairstyles were based on Madame Pompadour because she was the mistress to the king. And also very intelligent women, and influenced architecture and many other things in the culture at that time. But you've seen pictures, I'm sure, of those hairstyles that looked like ships, or they had birds and feathers and all kinds of things in those hairstyles that were almost too heavy for women to carry. But thinking back not quite that far, think about in the 20s, the flapper area. There was certainly a certain hairstyle called the bob, and sometimes involved the finger wave, which meant that the hair was much shorter and held into place with little waves that I guess people could find easy to do, and I think it was sort of a reaction to all of the long hair. Well, think about 50s and 60s. There were a number of hairstyles, again, influenced by who? Think about who influences our styles in dress and also in hair. In the 50s, the pixie was influenced by Audrey Hepburn. And for men, actually there was a hairstyle called the pompadour, which was higher in front and lower in back. And Elvis had a pompadour for men. Also, remember the ducktail? That was one of the 50s men's styles. And then in the 60s, we had the Beatles, who influenced hairstyles, and the name some people gave it was the shag. Well, beyond the beehive, after the beehive went sort of away, there was still the bouffant. And the bouffant is different because although it's lots of hairspray and lots of hair, it was also full on the sides in addition to the top. And then we had the whole era of black culture influencing hairstyles, such as the afro, the cornrows, and we still see Whoopi Goldberg with the dreadlocks, along with lots of other folks that you may see. What about, now here's one I didn't remember in terms of a name, in the 70s, the feathered flip. Well, it was Farrah Fawcett, there's a mouthful for you, the feathered flip by Farrah Fawcett, who influenced that hairstyle. And then 70s on, especially for men, but also for some women, the mullet, which of course was longer in back and shorter in front, and it could be combined with a mohawk or might not. There are different styles of the mullet. And what about the rat tail? You still see the rat tail around on some folks? That's that long, thin piece of hair at the nape of the neck. No matter what the style in front might be, there could be a rat tail, although it usually goes with some shorter hair. And then what's the latest, especially for men? Well, they may or may not call it the buzz cut, which could be a crew cut, or it may be no hair at all. The bald look is in. And back in time, as well as an era in the 80s and 90s, was the bowl cut. You know, we talk about kids, I think especially, saying it looked like their mother put a bowl in their head and cut around it. Well, that actually was a favored style for some people. And then there's the old standby, the ponytail, which actually did not become so popular until the 50s and 60s. And braids. Braids are forever, right? Did you wear braids when you were a little kid and they got pulled? And they got pulled when your mom was putting them in, and some of them were tighter than others. And then they got pulled by probably some little boy. That's always the way the story goes. What about the French roll or the French twist? What about the influence of the style by Dorothy Hamill? That was in 1976, was when Dorothy Hamill won the women's gold medal at the Olympics, and she had this cute little, fairly short, swingy haircut that was probably a little longer on the sides and a little shorter in the back, but easy to take care of. And, of course, every hairstylist has to keep up with those and know how to do those cuts. And along with all of the other things that, through progress, and we could probably do a whole another visit about this, is the perm. How perms, permanent waves, have changed over time. From the heated curling irons that Mama put into the oven or into the fire to heat them up so you could curl the little girl's hair, to those big, horrendous looking, almost like out of space machines where the hot curler is pulled down to attach to your head, to the home perms, so on. Lots of history there with perms for hair. And then we could also go into color. That's another thing that's just exploded over time, is the availability of color done by hairdressers or done at home. So it's an interesting study when you start looking at that. For some people, very, very important as to what their hairstyle is and how it's done. And for others, it's just, let me get it done and get out of here. So whichever, it's your choice. And a little bit related, but not too much related, is the wish to be thin in terms of style, another kind of style. So until next time, here's a thought for those of you who are trying to lose weight and not working very well. Here's an excuse given by one person. My metabolism stinks. I gain weight just listening to dinner music.